Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today's Saturday. Hope you're having a great weekend. It is Eric Larsen Day, so we are looking at the next issue in his The Savage Dragon run from the early 90s. He's still working on the comic as of this day. Has been doing so for over 30 years at this point, right? 32 years, I think. Somewhere around there, maybe even more. So what we are looking at is his early 90s stuff. Issue 11, cover dated July 1994, if I'm not mistaken. That is it. Pretty kind of just stock cover here. Villain attacking our hero. Not much to say about that. And I wouldn't say there's a lull in the series right now, but you know, it's kind of cruising at the same speed. And maybe this is not the most exciting issue of the Savage Dragon, even though, you know, Eric Larsen always finds a way to, you know, create interesting plot lines, B and C stories going on. And there's always, you know, one major kind of action sequence in each issue. But that maybe is becoming, again, the formula. And that's, you know, I'm seeing a little bit of this being kind of played out a little bit by the time this issue rolls around. But, you know, I think things pick up a bit more after this as well. Not a horrible issue by any means. Still very fun, and let's see what's going on inside. I'll show you some of that fun stuff, I think, is contained within this issue. Creator, writer, penciler, inker, Eric Larsen. Letters, Chris Eliopoulos. Colorist, Ruben Rude, and that's where we're going to stop. So, first thing I want to say here, I've heard before about Larsen kind of having a Ditko influence, and I never really saw it that much, or that obviously. And then it kind of, when I was reviewing this before the review, the pre-review, where I just kind of look through the comic, read a bit, this whole thing really struck me as kind of a Spider-Man thing that Steve Ditko established, right? Where you kind of have the character in the middle and all these faces of the people that are counting on him, or that he's responsible to, or, you know, maybe they're judging him. I'm not quite sure. In this case, he's using it to say that, you know, he was always kind of pushed around and just did what other people told him to do with this character here. And, you know, without even looking, you know, and reading all of this, looking at all this text, you kind of figure out that eventually, you know, something's going to happen, right? Something evil. And he was consumed by it. And what we're going to find out is this character here, the Fiend, is, you know, he kind of inhibits people and uses their bodies. And that's kind of established here. And that's what we're going to find out throughout this issue. Something cool about this just simple, basic shot here, translating the idea that, you know, he's been taken over by this entity here. And the very different kind of inking and choppy kind of inking going on down here versus, you know, the look clean kind of musculature and coloring that he's got up here. And there's this weird kind of computer effect that was used here. I don't know. I mean, it's not bad. I get what they're going for. It doesn't quite work here in the back as the colors get kind of blocked off and look blocky and pixely and stuff. But I get what they were going for. So we got Savage Dragon watching TV, and he's got, you know, this lady who thinks he's her son Rodney. So not too impressed is the Savage Dragon. Using the Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld texture in the background here for the shadows, which is pretty interesting. I think it works really well. And we've got just a bit of screen tone here on the fin, which, as I said, as we move along with these Image comics, we'll get less and less screen tone as the computer coloring kind of takes over there. Now, you've got the mother of girlfriend, the ex-girlfriend of, well, ex because she died, right? So, Savage Dragon's girlfriend died, and her mother really blames the dragon for that. And she'll, obviously, she's not here for no reason. She'll be intertwined into the A story eventually, right? And that's something Eric Larsen does. He builds these stories, smaller parts within the issue, stories B, C, sometimes even D, and eventually those stories weave their way back into story A to affecting Savage Dragon. That's why, I'll say it again, Eric Larsen is the smartest and the best writer out of that original Image bunch, for sure. Much more adept at kind of building worlds and stuff. So finally we get the Savage Dragon rapture date, right? Of course, going to be interrupted in the old kind of, you know, there's somewhat of a Marvel feel to the Savage Dragon. I'm sure I mentioned this before as well. You know, there'll be some more kind of, you know, risque sexual stuff and, you know, more violent, bloody fights and gore and stuff. But overall, it's still kind of that Marvel feel and formula here, where characters show up, sometimes they fight and then team up, or both are good guys. That's not the case here. They already know each other. But if you haven't read Vanguard issue 3, you wouldn't know that. It does refer to that in these kind of little editor box down here. See Vanguard issue 3 and 4. But basically, Savage Dragon and Vanguard have fought before. Basically, Savage Dragon fought a kind of robotic doppelganger of Vanguard and eventually realized it and made friends with Vanguard and everything was okay eventually. But here, his little buddy there shoots the Savage Dragon with his laser eye. And basically, because we didn't know this, but behind the scenes, they used that robot replicant that, could look like Vanguard to actually look like Frank, Savage Dragon's buddy there. So who was actually shot by the Overlord in issue, I think 7? Was it 7? The All Splash issue wasn't actually Frank, right? It was this kind of robotic doppelganger. Which we already knew because we know Frank is safe, but now Dragon's kind of explaining it to them, and that's what happened to the robot. So there's a little bit of action in this issue, I would say, that we get, and Savage Dragon apparently now is planning on getting a different form of action here with Rapture, as they came pretty close earlier on, and Rapture just kind of pulls the same trick Savage Dragon's pulled on her before, and kind of leaves them hanging with maybe in his case green balls as she walks away and says maybe another time, right? Let's take it slow. And boom, now we get an actual, crazy ass Eric Larsen dynamic action sequence. Love this double page splash. I love the broken window thing, right? I've done it before in my work. The first time you do it, man, does it take forever. Then you get better at it. Eric Larsen, again, is a master. Love the way it's done here. There's, he just kind of decided on the same simple basic shape of the triangle, which is fine and works well. You kind of have to settle on a basic kind of angular shape and maybe have, some shards be a little bit different, and just repeat and have them overlap. The best thing you can do is have them overlap your character as much as possible, as you see here. And that's what gives it an image like this, a great sense of depth, which he's really nailed right here. So the Fiend attacking the Savage Dragon, you get some interesting sequences. This extreme foreshortening is awesome. Just like with Rob Liefeld earlier in the week, Larsen's also adept at using these kind of manga style speed lines, which I love. At least, when it works with the artist. In this case, it certainly does. So the Fiend is basically, again, as a Savage Dragon often happens with him, he's getting his ass kicked for a good long while, getting bloodied and stuff. And I thought this was interesting, and I never quite saw anything like this, I think, before seeing this in this comic as a kid. Really gross, really clever as an artist, I think, and it's really well done too. Like, it's the fact that he really got his claws in there under Dragon's skin. That's just a great shot right there. His eye, everything about it just looks really cool to me and works really well. It's a cool sequence. Still using those speed lines to dramatic effect here. Just feels like everything's moving really fast once again here. And eventually Savage Dragon starts landing some punches here. Starts beating the crap out of him. And after this big shot here, realizes that he was, not beating up the person he thought he was. But this entity here, once again, that we saw earlier in the issue, the Fiend, exiting the body as it's depleted. And basically this guy is dead, right? So, excuse me. You win again, but I'll defeat you yet, the Fiend says. You will die at my hands. There exists a vessel that hates you more than even I. So he's looking for other vessels to use, other vessels, the people, right, that hate Savage Dragon. And when I am united with that vessel, be forewarned, I'll be back. And there's kind of just a flashback shot to the mother of the girl who was with Dragon, who was killed, right? So we can pretty much surmise that he's going to go out there, the Fiend entity, and connect with her. Makes sense. Here's another instance, like with Cyberforce, when I review Mark Silvestri stuff, I've mentioned how some kind of throwaway characters, disappear, get injured, and never come back or whatever. And those are some characters just visually I'm already interested in. I'd love to see again. This guy here, for some reason, I really like his design. I don't think we've seen him before in this whole series. I might be wrong about that, but I really like him. And he's just completely destroyed by Overlord in one, he's here for one panel, literally. We don't even, like, that's, I guess, 2 panels if you want to really be technical about it. Love this representation of just that one tall building in the middle, kind of a one World Trade Center. Just one of the towers in Chicago here. And yeah, just a throwaway character, I guess. And Eric Larsen actually throws in some more runners-up from the character creating contest from last issue. We saw the winner last issue with Jimbo the Giant Lobster, the Big Lobster. Jimbo the Lobster. So here we're getting some more, and I think we're starting to see here with what he's showing us more of those entries that maybe had more of an 90s kind of image vibe already, like more, too specifically 90s extreme-ish, if I can put it that way. So that's the vibe I kind of get from these characters here. Not quite as original, or that stood out, I guess, maybe, is how I'd put it. Some interesting kind of design elements with this guy, though. The way his cape goes, it's interesting. Asymmetry was very big in the 90s, so he's got that kind of aspect there. The different boots from side to side. Spawn was definitely around by this time, so he's like a flashy kind of disco Spawn. Disco Spawn has McFarlane created a Disco Spawn figure. I think he should. Jason Pearson drawing a more subdued version of the dragon than he would in Blood and Guts. Is that the miniseries? I'm not 100% sure if that's what it's called, but yeah, really cool comic. The art is very angular compared to this. But yeah, not quite sure what this is about here. Someone kind of took a Hellboy drawing and drew the dragon, light boxed it as being the dragon, and then fake Mike Mignola art. I mean, if you know about art in general and Mike Mignola more specifically, you can tell right away that, yeah, that is fake Mike Mignola art. Definitely not real. So the letters page, just one little piece of fan art. Always thought this was cool. I remember ripping this kind of face off from McFarlane as well, the way the mouth is. I feel like it's from somewhere. This kind of hand and this face here, if you can see on the camera, it's a little small. Very McFarlane, definitely ripping off McFarlane from something. But I kind of like the drawing. It's fun, but it's more of a Spawn pose or like a Batman pose than a Savage Dragon pose. Yeah, kind of a creepy McFarlane-y Savage Dragon. What if Savage Dragon was Spawn, I guess? This guy's fin is just absolutely insanely huge. I don't feel like the glasses look like sunglasses. He's wearing glasses, right? They just kind of look like just regular glasses, which is making the dragon look a little odd. Like he's just some guy with glasses doing his jogging, is what I feel from this drawing. And as Eric Larsen would say, he got the fin wrong, right? It should come out here and have one more kind of plate. Yeah. If you haven't seen the dragon lately, you're a dork. It's a weird kind of marketing campaign, but hey, Eric Larsen has had more than one weird marketing idea and one weird marketing campaign during the Savage Dragon's tenure these last 30 odd years. So there you go. That's the Savage Dragon. This is issue 11. That is my review. Thank you to subscribers who are still there and watching the videos. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Those of you who are not subscribed and are watching videos, why don't you just subscribe down here below? It takes but a second for you. Really helps out the channel, helps get us out there to other like-minded people who are into the same things as we are, namely comic books. So to everyone who's watching, one big thank you once again, and everyone go out there and have an awesome day.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.